Hi, folks. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and welcome to another live dispatch from home. My name is Marcus, and I'm the head of production here at ArtistWorks. And if you're just tuning in and you're not familiar with who ArtistWorks is, we're an online music instruction company. We work with 37 world-renowned musicians who recorded entire video curriculums with us that you can learn from online. And you can also get direct video feedback on your playing through our patented video exchange feature there. Now today we're doing something a little special to celebrate St. Patrick's Day with our esteemed ArtistWorks fiddle instructor Darol Anger, and we're happy to be joined by special guests Jenna Moynihan and Bronwyn Keith-Hynes. So let me bring them on now. Hello everybody.
Hey!
Hello.
Everybody.
Welcome.
Happy St. Patrick's Day in my non-existent Celtic accent. Great.
So we always like to kick these shows off with some music, so I'll turn it over to you guys, and yeah, let's have some music.
Okay. As we all know, as we've been dealing with for the last year now, there's a major latency issue with Zoom or whatever we're using. And so music can still be, we could still have music if we just eliminate time. So we're going to eliminate, time will become suspended for the next, well, we can't actually say how many minutes because time will be suspended, right? So there won't be any minutes, there won't be any seconds, hours, moments, nothing. All that will happen is pure melody. And we're going to salute one of the great Irish fiddle players of all time, right? Right, you guys? The Irish harpist, blind Irish harpist, that great
Carolyn.
harpist.
Turlough or Carolyn, yeah.
Oh, Carolyn, thank you, Turlough. Carolyn. And, just a big, one of his greatest hits of all time. The Big Hill and the Little Hill, both parts, I believe. So yeah. So Jenna, we're gonna you go ahead and play whatever you want, whenever you want to, and we'll attempt to, supply some musical accompaniment which has nothing to do with anything that's happening.
Sounds great.
Okay, here we go. We're winding up the pipes here. Woo!
Wow.
Bravo.
So
Hey, I think
that's
that might be
that's
the-
how you deal with latency. You just
Yeah. I think you
mush it
solved
all together.
Yeah, bravo.
Big
Very
hill,
nice
little
point.
hills. All right. Well, we've got a couple of just dynamite Celtic players. I myself am I hope to someday be able to play Celtic fiddle, and that it's one of my ambitions, which I mean to start. Well, I've already started working on it. I know like 2 Celtic tunes pretty well, and but really, for in honor of St. Patrick's, some real people that really know how to do it, and just really beautiful players in any possible style, really. And what's great about both you, Jenna, and you, Bronwyn, is that you are really great in all kinds of other styles as well. You've played just about every kind of music, pop music, bluegrass. That's it, right? That's the other 2 kinds. Yeah, I mean, you both have just done so much in the last few years. But maybe is it safe to say that both you guys fiddle roots are kind of in Celtic music? Is that would that make sense to say that?
Definitely.
And we met at fiddle camp when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
So great.
Celtic
Wanna know a gathering.
Fiddle camp. Was it Celtic
Yeah.
Week or was it Fiddle Week?
It was Celtic Week. I just want to
Awesome.
know.
Nice.
Too bad I didn't submit the photo of us as teenagers.
Oh
playing
man,
fiddle.
there's that really funny one where I have the really funny like short
You
haircut.
have really short hair.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing like camouflage pants.
Yeah, you were the cool one.
So where are you guys all checking
That would have
in
been a
from
tough
today?
photo to see because where's Jenna?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So where is everybody today? Darol, I know you've been sort of all around the country a lot. Where do we find you today?
Yeah, I'm back home here in California. As you can see, it's a pretty, it's a pleasant day. The usual California experience, pleasant. And yeah, no fires today, thank goodness. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Ron, you recently moved. Well, not that recent, I guess.
Yeah. I'm checking in from Nashville, Tennessee. I moved here about 2 years ago, and we've been threatened with some really bad thunderstorms this evening. So I was warning Darol that I guess I could lose power, but it all seems calm so far. So
That's good. Well, in honor of the thunderstorms, we can do the, if things get weird, we can always do the windshield wiper thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all that stuff. Jenna, you're up in Gloucester, right?
Yeah, I don't normally live here, but I've been living here for the last few months of the pandemic in Gloucester, Massachusetts, but typically I live in Boston, Massachusetts.
That is
Awesome.
great. And we've got people checking in from all over the place.
Yeah,
Oh, look at
let's
this.
say hi to a few folks here.
Oh, yeah, some of my great students, Peggy from Connecticut and Ivan from
Aw.
Athens, Georgia. Now, that's something I've always wondered about Athens. Now, if Nashville is the Athens of the South, what is Athens? Georgia, is that the Nashville of the South? Or is it the Georgia of the... I never did understand that, but yeah, Ivan, if you can shed any light on that through the comments section, I'd love to know what the Athens, Georgia people think about that, because for God's sake, why does Nashville have to, Nashville is the Nashville of the South, right? And probably the North too. And
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the cats there play clean as country water.
Why does Mountain Dew?
Those of us living by the Cumberland River might take issue with that. Anyway, so who else is? Yeah, it's the brains of Georgia. Ivan says, "Yeah, there we go." Yeah, and the center of a certain style of sleeping, right? REM happens in Georgia, so that's cool in Athens, and also the home of another great fiddle player, Joe Craven. Actually, he's from Athens. So, we all know Joe as well as just a great bongo player. He plays fiddle very well. So yeah, so Jenna, you're the one person who's really full, kind of full time. You're still doing a lot of Celtic fiddling, right? And a lot of Irish fiddling.
Yeah,
You just did a big thing, right? Like a St. Patrick's Day special that maybe aired very soon. Right?
Yeah, I just with Seamus Egan, he has a St. Patrick's Day special that's airing today and also is accessible beyond today. But yeah, I grew up playing. I started learning Scottish tunes, or kind of maybe truthfully a mix of like Irish and Scottish tunes, and then I ended up getting a little bit more into Scottish tunes. But yeah, as such a product of like the fiddle camp scene, so getting lots and lots of stuff from different players, and it ends up being what I, even though certainly kind of dabbled in other styles, that's kind of the root, that's how I understand other music, at this point, is like through that lens of Scottish tradition and Irish tradition. Yeah,
very cool. That's amazing. And Bronwyn, of course, you probably started somewhat with Celtic, right? Maybe you had did both you guys start with Suzuki stuff, or did you just dive right in?
Yeah. I had a Suzuki teacher when I was little, and then my first fiddle teacher was a Cape Breton fiddler named Beth Telford up in Vermont, and so that was kind of the first fiddle music I was exposed to, and I did that for a long time, or not a long time, a couple years, and then my family moved to Virginia, and we couldn't really find any Cape Breton music down there. So the next closest thing that we found was like the Irish music scene, and the Irish music scene in Charlottesville in the early 2000s was like hopping. So I was really into that, and I did that, until I started going to some of these fiddle camps, like the one I met Jenna at, and a few others where I started hearing people play some bluegrass and stuff, and and I went to Berkeley and kind of got exposed to all sorts of things, and that's where I sort of got more into bluegrass, and that's kind of my main thing these days.
Yeah, no kidding. Both of you just released a couple of pretty ridiculously great recordings. I think they're still called. Yeah, recording. Brian, you've got that great. What's the name of that? It's Bluegrass Fiddle.
Oh yeah, Fiddler's Pastime. My new album.
Right. And you have a beautiful release, which you do everything. You sing and you play fretted instruments. Fretted instruments. Of course, you that beautiful record called Woven, which was released a few years ago. But
it's an oldie now, but yeah.
Yeah, oldie but wovey. Yeah. Well, cool. So do you remember the first Irish, Irishy fiddle tune, Celtic fiddle tune that you learned? Anything that comes to mind there? Or any sentimental favorites from early in your life when you just, discovered, I can do this. Wow, the bow goes back and forth pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the first tunes I ever learned, like a few different tunes, and it was my Suzuki teacher, Sue, was taking us to a workshop, like a Scottish fiddle workshop at Edinburgh University, like Edinburgh, Pennsylvania.
Cool.
And actually, Jeremy Kittle was teaching the workshop, and he was 15 or something probably, and I was 8 or 9, and a bunch of those tunes that I learned, and I still play them. But I learned a tune called "Ale is Dear," and at the time I thought ale was a person. I did not understand what it meant. Which now I understand what it meant. But yeah, it's a Scottish tune. It's in B minor, which is kind of weird for a first tune. I wouldn't probably teach B minor, but
Can we hear a little bit of that?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, such a little wheel. The ale is dear. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. That's beautiful. And of course, that really, that it's emblematic of so much. It really cuts across the entire island. Well, it jumps the island basically, and goes right to the the little island, big island, little island. You hear very similar stuff all the way from Scotland to Ireland. Very interesting how that stuff is really, it's Celtic, and I'm sure that many of the Irish fiddlers say, well, that's Scottish, but really
Oh, yeah. It's Scottish.
what's the what knowing that the styles vary so deeply from county to county, right, and from player to player, fiddler to fiddler. But is there like a kind of an overall difference between the Scottish and knowing that there's so much variation within the styles? Bronwyn, you got any? Can you say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, man, I think there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of similarities. I mean, it's funny, there's different Irish styles that are closer to Scottish than others. People kind of say that like the Donegal style of Irish fiddling is more closely related to Scottish fiddling, just, because geographically it was closer, right? So it's got more triplets, maybe a more aggressive bowing. But yeah, I think maybe in general there's differences in the feel between Irish and Scottish in terms of how forward leaning it is, what kinds of ornaments you're going to use, sort of a generalization, and different Irish styles definitely have a lot of bowed triplets, but there's maybe more left hand, like rolls and different left hand ornaments in some of the Irish styles.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, it seems like a lot of difference between the Northern Irish stuff. I mean, it's somebody like Frankie Gavin, who's from the north, and then somebody who's from the south. I guess Martin Hayes, for instance, or Queeveen O'Reilly, playing that. They're very soft style, and then of course you get the crazy guys like Tommy Potts, who is like beyond style. Right? Just
Yeah. Brian, what do you think, Jenna?
What's that?
What do you think about the differences?
Yeah, I can't the difference, the specifications of like county playing within Ireland is certainly like outside my depth of just like not being predominantly totally Irish fiddle player. But within Celtic music, I think Hanukkah Castle, the great Hanukkah Castle, is. I heard her say this once, and I think it's like a great crash course, right? So. Irish music, she was saying, is like rolling hills, right? It looks like the landscape. It's just like, beautiful rolling hills, like, here we go. And Scottish music is more like jagged cliffs, like the landscape.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah. So, which is of course such a simplified, watered down version of it. But I do think there's something there as the visual. Mm-hmm. Especially by you mentioned rolls, which are all over in Irish music, but are less of like a go-to, right? In Scottish music, they happen sometimes, but not in the way that they're used in Irish music.
Very cool. Yeah. Bronwyn, you used to compete occasionally in like some Irish fiddle contests, right? In fact, you were telling me the other day the last fiddle contest that you lost because you actually played like but you got
Yeah.
that was so great, you know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of just a funny story. Yeah, I used to do these Irish fiddle contests, and part of it was just a social thing. It's a great way to see my friends and get to travel. If you won the regional contest, you
Yeah.
get to go to Ireland and compete in the All Ireland. So it was a super fun thing. And I remember I did one regional one in the U.S. I think about a year after I'd started at Berkeley, and at Berkeley I'd been exposed to a lot of different kinds of music, and I've been working on my vibrato a lot that year, and I played in this contest, and I remember Liz Carroll was watching it, and she'd been a bit of a mentor to me growing up, and she, I think I came in like maybe second or third or something, and I think we were walking out of there after, and she was like, you played great, but like, I just, as soon as you did that vibrato at the end of the tune on the last note, like I just knew you didn't stand a chance, like that was just going to disqualify you. And I just had this moment of like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even aware I was doing that, much less that, it's funny. You get into contests of any genre, I guess, and you have to get very particular about certain things, I guess. But
Yeah.
just kind of a funny anecdote. But not to say that there's not Irish musicians that use vibrato. It's maybe less common.
But it's more of a squeeze, right? And like you just kind of
maybe a faster. Yeah, I never really done that kind of slow, like bluegrass country vibrato until I got. Yeah.
Oh, Brown, how about you want to play one of the tunes? Do you remember what tune you played at the contest? That would be fun.
No, I don't remember. I'm trying to think.
Like the Rolling Hills, the sweet Rolling Hills.
I'll try to play something rolling. I'm thinking of one. You mentioned tunes that we learned early on and kind of always stuck with us. There's this one tune, Dr. Gilbert's, that I just used to just love, and it's a great tune. It's I heard it from the band Lunasa. They've got a great fiddler who's kind of a Donegal style fiddler, Sean Smith, and I used to really just love his playing and try to emulate it. But then I've heard people from like the Sligo fiddle styles play this tune and definitely been influenced by that. It's on a great album from Patrick Mangan, who's a New York Sligo style fiddler. Anyways, it's a cool one. So that one's kind of interesting, right? It's got like all those rolls, but also the triplets and stuff. It's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of got a little bit of everything. It's really great. Yeah, it's kind of a round trip all over. That's really cool. Of course, one of the things that really set Celtic fiddling apart from other fiddling, especially American fiddling, is that there's jigs. They actually have jigs. Which is, it's kind of, you just don't, for some reason, jigs kind of got lost in the mix, somewhere between the Boston and you just don't hear it, and it hasn't made its way into traditional American style fiddling in the Appalachians and stuff. I don't know why that is, but one of the things that was really wonderful about all Celtic fiddle is that kind of that thing, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm just going to try to get both you guys playing as much as possible now because you sound so darn good. And Jenna, you got any favorite jigs you've been working out on that you'd like to?
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe I'll play an Irish jig and a Scottish jig, just a couple times through each. But yeah, this really nice Irish jig called "Tell Her I Am" that I learned from the playing of Martin Hayes, and then this lovely old Scottish tune called "Blue Bonnets Over the Border." Guess as long as I'm in tune myself, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so the first one was Irish and the second one is Scottish.
Yeah, the subtle difference there. I love the way you kind of move from that kind of like just misty, moisty kind of just, boy, you really hear the, just the mist and the green hills. And just barely, touching the fiddle, just barely. There's just that so light and it's so amazing, that you really, and just kind of like getting a little bit more, not that much more, but just a little bit more, a little bit more stony, with the
Yeah.
Scottish.
Yeah, it's all so subtle, but it's got these different, grooves going on under it, or that are
Since we're
important.
here, I'm seeing over here on the comments page, some people are really getting excited about that fiddle of yours, Jenna. And
Yeah, I just dropped in to ask if you could talk a little bit about your fiddle.
Yes, I would be happy to. This is my fiddle that I love so much. It's a 5-string fiddle that was built by Barry Dudley, and it's just really great. It's it was new in 2013, so it's still growing, and I really love it. It's just like super easy to play, and of course, like many people, I would not have the 5-string fiddle would not be in my life were it not for Darol. But yeah, a lot of times I tune my C string up to a D, which is where it's at right now, which is possibly a dangerous game, but that's a problem for a future Jenna. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, I love that. Wow, yeah, tuning up to D. That's great for those, especially for those tunes in D.
Yeah.
Bronwyn, you've been
exactly.
going through the fiddles. Living in Nashville, the fiddles they're thick on the ground out there, right? I mean, you just like walk out your front door.
Yeah. I just got one from Brandon Godman, who runs a violin shop called the Fiddle Mercantile. It's just like an old German fiddle, but he did some really cool work on it, and yeah, it's my new favorite fiddle.
Cool. Of course, Brandon's over in San Francisco, so you had all the Nashville fiddle dealers are probably going.
I know. How did he manage that?
Get them where you find them. The fiddles are where you find them. Right now, I'm just playing a 5-string. I have a beautiful Barry Dudley 5-string, which I've been playing a lot, but a fellow named Russell McCumber, who just moved to Massachusetts, North Carolina, just sent this to me, and I'm kind of trying it out. It's 5-string, obviously, and it's good and loud, pleases the crowd.
It's beautiful.
So,
yeah, it's really nice.
I'm excited about that. Of course, there haven't been any crowds to speak of in the last year, but it's if there was one, I think they would definitely. What? Since we're talking about jigs, the one jig I know is of course Banished Misfortune, which is a little bit obvious. I know. What is it about Banished? I mean, is it like the devil went down to Georgia of Irish jigs?
No,
not at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
A legit good jig.
Totally.
Yeah, when I made that record, Diary of a Fiddler, I was all excited about getting to play with Martin Hayes, and I said, Martin, I got this man. Will you play Banished Misfortune with me? And you can kind of see his face go like. No, he was so diplomatic, He said, all right, I will do it. But I got this crazy arrangement where we change keys and we do all this other crazy stuff, and he kind of brightened up, after that. So, okay. Well, so as long as it isn't really, and then of course he played. I'd never heard Banished Misfortune played like that, but. It would be fun to just run through a couple of times. I'll start, and then we can have, Bronwyn, you play it a couple of times, and then Jenny, you play it a couple of times, and then you can critique me or something after that, or whatever. But just the different flavors of how this gets played. Played by somebody who's a decent fiddle player, but maybe doesn't really know much about Celtic. The ins and outs, the subtle ins and outs of Irish fiddling. And then played by people that know a lot more, and they have some interesting takes on the tune itself. All right, and this is cool because it's got 3 parts, so it's kind of it takes forever, but it's worth it. And so you ready? Ready to just sit there for 30 seconds? Well, yeah, okay. So what is it? Me, you, Brown, and Jenna. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, all
I
right.
like
Oh, that
that
was.
you did. That was awesome. Like in the C part.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
glad you
Um,
guys played it first because I was like, oh, I forgot there were 3 parts.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I just wanted to talk a little bit today. We're putting out a new podcast with Darol featured, talking about how to build your practice roadmap. And I was just wondering if we could talk a little bit just about how you guys treat practicing, and if maybe you have some advice for the students of fiddle that are watching right now.
Yeah, well, I have this interminable, just really, yeah, I talk a lot about this stuff, and of course, on my fiddle school, I have a whole little lesson series now that sort of just encapsulates and summarizes and also lengthens, a whole, if you got like a half hour to practice, or 15 minutes, or 45 minutes, or 3 hours, or if you're beginning, intermediate, advanced, the idea of what you could do to maximize the effectiveness of your time to practice. And I think the gist of that for me is that you warm up, you do the kind of the exercises that sort of maintain your consistency, whether it's rhythmic or intonation stuff. And then you get down on whatever thing you're working on. You try to you don't just play everything that you're working on. You just you pick like just a. It can be as small as maybe even 1 bar or 5 notes. The idea is that the amount of time you have, you want to actually make tangible progress. So it's hard to make tangible progress on an entire tune. The progress you make is so minuscule that you kind of lose it again. So you focus down to a small enough piece that you can make actual, at the beginning, even if you only got 10 minutes, at the end of that 10 minutes, you actually can, if you couldn't do it before, you can do it then, and that might just be 2 notes, but you make the progress. And then you give yourself a little dessert where you just play something for fun, and you just play something you already know that you feel great about, and that's what kind of keeps you going, right? So that's in a nutshell. Obviously, Bronwyn and Jenna, you have had very great success with your practicing, because you guys sound unbelievably great. As good as it really is possible to sound, really, on the fiddle, in my opinion, anyway, and in your own ways. So yeah, I'd love to hear. Let's see, who wants to go first and just talk about that? How about Bronwyn?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, my approach to practice changes based on like kind of my needs. Like if there's something immediate that's coming up that I need to prepare for, that takes precedent over general practice. But in my ideal world where I don't have to do anything, I don't have to play a gig. That's not my ideal world. But in the ideal world that I don't have that I don't have anything like pressing that I'm forced to learn or something. Like my ideal practice is just focusing in on the things I'm worst at. I'm always trying to keep a mental checklist or even a written down checklist of the things that I'm really struggling with, whether it's a key, it's a position, an area, even a specific double stop that just plagues me. I keep a mental note of it, and even like write myself Post-it notes around the house to like just to keep working on that thing or whatever. So
very cool. That's a great idea. The Post-its. I'm going to buy some Post-its very soon. But of course, I filled the whole book with just every stuff. But that's great. Yeah. So you still have double stops that plague you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they all plague me. It's terrible. No, but it's never ending, right? But I used to also I kept a practice journal for like years. I was really strict about it, and it was really kind of a fun motivational thing, because I'd write down the time I started practicing. I'd write down as I was doing like what I was practicing, and then I'd write the time I finished, and I'd like, calculate how long that was. And then that would kind of spur me on, because, maybe I'd practice for 45 minutes and I was thinking of quitting, but I'd be like, oh man, I could do a little more and I'd get an hour, or, or I'd do another 20 minutes later that day and I'd be like, oh, I'm closer to an hour and a half at this point, so I might as well just keep going. So it felt a little like satisfying to see those times add up.
Cool. How about you, Jenna?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I've never been a great practicer, but I always like to play, but there's a big difference between like playing and practicing. When there's something, kind of what you were mentioning earlier, Darol, like when there's a moment or a passage or something that's just like, that's the trouble spot. I have learned to, not like plow through it. And when something is tricky for me, the first thing I do now is I'll try to sing it. And that goes for like learning some tune or something. Like if I can't sing it, I won't be able to play it. And if I can't sing it, then I don't understand it. You know what I mean? And I think in that, just if I'm trying to work on something that I don't fully understand somehow, or I haven't kind of internalized, it's just like a spiral of frustration. So that's been a really helpful thing. And it's like a reminder to just like slow down and like zoom in on these phrases. Especially as like, I play so many fiddle tunes. Like fiddle tunes are just a combination of phrases in an order. I want to be able to know all those phrases inside and out. And, you could drop me in the middle of the tune and I would know where that is in the melody and how that works. So yeah, but when I'm really feeling like up against the wall about practicing something, a lot of times I use those drones that you made, Darol. Those are really helpful to feel like kind of no matter what, even if it's not something I necessarily don't want to practice, just it's some anchor. It makes me, takes me out of my own head in a good way. Like takes away some of that critical, like, you suck, as that you have about yourself when you play sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what a wonderful instrument this is. It's stepping into the humility daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
But
like,
that's cool. Yeah,
sometimes...
and of course, drones are great. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, drones are amazing. And now they have apps. You can get them on your phone. You can get the drone phone, phone drone, and all that stuff. So there's lots of ways to get those things. And you can get like the nice the tempura now, and all kinds of things. So that's great. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they take me out of myself a little bit, and the idea that it actually is possible to get in tune sometime at some point in some part of your life. It's so exciting, and to know it, because with that drone, it's like, okay, well, it's either in tune or it's not. Oh, okay, now it's in tune. Okay, I guess it's possible to, find. But yeah, it's funny how that stuff, and every fiddle, of course, is going to have its peculiarities. Like some fiddles just do not want to play certain notes in tune.
Man, I've struggled with that. I've had some fiddles that just, and I think I thought it was me for the longest time. It's a really hard balance you don't want to just blame your instrument, but there are certain fiddles that like certain things are just very not wanting to happen.
Yeah.
Totally.
One thing that's interesting that I've seen is that, especially like with Celtic fiddlers and Irish fiddlers, and a lot of them like those kind of pipey sounding fiddles are like pretty, like they just really cut, in an interesting way,
Like brighter.
And they're a little brighter, and they just kind of have, they blend well with pipes, or they like stand up to pipes. And, something about that tone of that fiddle, when you get up there and that note, that F natural, is like, man, some of those fiddles, it's like, cut you in half. And so, and you get so many. It's my personal theory that a lot of those low Fs, it's such a sound, it's beautiful, and because if they played the real F, it would you'd be deaf in 6 months. Just apropos of nothing, really. I don't know why that came out or anything, but okay, Darol, shut up. Let's I don't know. Anything either of you guys wanted to play? Particularly play on the radio here. Whatever we're calling it today. Anything you're kind of working on, or other favorites? I know that Bronwyn, you played one of your favorite tunes. That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks. I could play a jig. You were
Jigs
asking us about jigs, and I was like racking my brain. My brain is so devoted to like bluegrass these days that the Irish stuff has just moved further back, and it's all still there, but usually it needs like a little memory jog. But there's this one really pretty one. I'm sure you guys know it. It's like a total classic, Out on the Ocean. And it's just one that I used to play in my session every week growing up. And I was just like, it came on today. I was listening to some Irish stuff. And yeah, so maybe I'll play that for you guys.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, it's so. You know, one of the beautiful things about Irish, well, Celtic fiddling in general, but is that really all you need is the note. You just need the line. I mean, there's you don't need the chord. You don't really need much. It's just the beauty of those lines in space. It's and of course it's really nice when there's precision like that, and you just puts you in a hypnotic place. Even though there's so much motion, you're just in a place. Not like there's not really development exactly. It's just you're already there. You just really don't even. And that's especially about both of your playing. It's so there's so much precision, yet there's so much expression and just fluidity and gentleness. And, just blows my mind, kind of. Just it's something to aspire to. And certainly makes me very happy. You both. And yeah, I wish we could play together, but of course, the latency factor is so ridiculous that it would be funny. Well, we've all heard it. We've already heard the insanity of trying to play together. So we won't even go there. It's pretty funny. But yeah. Oh, let's see. We have a question here from Stanley, actually, asking Jenna to talk some more about the phrases in a certain order concept, which I love.
Oh.
Certainly tying into the hypnotically, okay, you get a phrase, and then you get another phrase. How does it go?
Yeah, I guess, kind of what I mean by that is I suppose the starting place is going back to that idea of singing a tune as you're learning it, and even after you've learned it, after you can play the notes on your fiddle, there's still that's great, but that's only a small piece of what is available, right, to bring the tune to life. So, I'm always thinking about how the phrases fit together and how to sort of shape them, right? Shape the order, or not the order of them, or playing the tune in order, but what does it mean to sort of spill into this phrase, or to create more space? All of that are, the voice is really helpful in finding that stuff. Like if I were to sing like boom ba da 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 dee da ba dee dee da da dum ba da 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 da, the tune Bronwyn just played, boom ba da 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 dum ba dee ba da dum ba da 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 dum ba ba dee da da, those kind of ideas where I'm just playing around where the breath is. I like to use that as like a guide to then try to figure out how I would do that on the fiddle with my bow. The bow is like your breath, essentially. It is the breath.
Yeah.
And, that's like I think for a long time, and maybe this is something about like playing the fiddle for a long time. Growing up, going to fiddle camps, I wasn't concerned. I wasn't thinking about the bow really at all. I was just like, I want to play the fast tunes and the minor tunes, and I was pretty sure that meant everything over here. But then I've since learned that it really means it's this, a lot of it. And the way that makes sense to me to unlock this is to like try to sing it, to feel grounded musically with breath. Otherwise, I kind of am like guessing, flailing around. Hope that makes some sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's beautifully put. And Bronwyn, you got anything to add to that? The whole thing about certainly.
Yeah, I mean that's a thing that comes up for my bluegrass playing too. When you're playing a song, you're trying to play a melody that a singer is singing. You're trying to play a bluegrass fiddle break. You're trying to emulate the phrasing that the singer is singing, and and if you don't ever stop, it's like you can never take a breath, and it can, even playing that way, can leave the audience feeling a little like breathless or just kind of frantic. It doesn't give you a moment to absorb it in.
That's like the thing with the fiddle.
Funny,
like you just breathe to stay alive during the tune. You just are like stay alive. But then, other instruments or voice or, wind instruments, like you have to incorporate a musical way of breathing.
Yeah.
But it's harder to do that on fiddle because
Yeah.
it's coming out of your neck.
It's funny, in bluegrass, just not to get off the subject too much, but yeah, like there's a kind of a fashion right now that it's all, really getting the little short bows, and just super precision. You're matching up with the banjo. You're right inside the banjo notes, and going back to, that's one nice thing about the Celtic stuff is, especially that there's so much bow phrasing in especially Irish. I was listening to some Kevin Burke, and well, of course Martin Hayes is so amazing at that, but Kevin is one of the masters of bow phrasing. So amazing, and that it just really hit me. That some of the early bluegrass players were also, they were doing a lot of sweeps and. All that stuff where they're, groups of threes and stuff. And that is, I don't know, it's something that's, it doesn't come right away. It's really interesting. It takes a while to develop your own breathing, your own phrasing. It's,
Martin Hayes is like a master of that too.
Yeah.
Martin Hayes is just, he definitely breathes when he plays.
It's a master class just to listen to him play anything, because he'll start with those simple, like 3 notes tunes, right? Yeah, again. It's just stuff that's so, and it just pulls you right in. It's so amazing, Yeah, Martin's right the genius. So yeah, and then we got people. The thing that I love about, the gamut between somebody like Martin or Cleveland O'Reilly and Frankie Gavin is so like, like there's this whole world in between. Frankie was, I think, the first Irish fiddler that I really took seriously. He was always, there's that one record, it's always like he's just cranking on, just pram, pam, bam. It's amazing, and it's a whole other side of it. It's so cool. So, do we have any? Let's see. I was listeing to this tune, "Wheels of the World." What other tradition really, has better titles, tune titles than Irish?
They're pretty good.
Really,
Yeah.
It's so fantastic, you could write a whole book just with titles. But Wheels of the World, I was looking at that too, which is a great title and also a great tune. And I was listening to Kevin Burke's version of that, and then I was listening to what is her name? This young. Well, she's not young. She's a newscaster in somewhere Ireland, I think, or somewhere in Britain, or somewhere. Where is that? I had it. Oh, okay. Yeah. What is her name? Some amazing player. Very. Just very. Opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah. Hold on here. Oh, trying to get this. Oh yeah, Emma Sweeney. You all probably heard of her, right? Emma Sweeney.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know her, but yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It seems like kind of the Frankie Gavin kind of. Super fast, just amazingly, accurate, and just, just makes you want to, put on the horns and get the spear and march around, just, and then of course Kevin's, just very liquid version of that. Maybe I'm just I'm working this over. Maybe do you know this tune? Of course you know this tune. This is probably
Play it for us. I'm
You
not
play it
sure.
first.
Yeah. I don't want to make any promises here.
the titles are fine by themselves, and the tunes are fine by themselves. Let's see. I got the A part back. Here's the B part. There's a whole, a class of tunes.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Is there
That
a name
sounds
for that?
familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. How we could make a whole week's worth of tunes that use this little that kind of stuff, and you don't really hear it in so much. A little bit in Texas fiddling, but it's really the Celtic fiddling where you're doing this. That kind of stuff. So, do you have any, Jenny? You have any favorite tunes that do that?
Oh man, I don't know.
Have that?
I mean, probably like I might not have it on the spot.
There's a lot of yeah.
Now, the one I'm thinking of is French Canadian, so it doesn't count
Oh,
right now.
yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
Still Celtic. Yeah. There's what is it? There's what's that one?
Oh, yeah, Drowsy Maggie.
Drowsy Maggie.
Oh, we could play that one, I bet.
Yeah.
That's a pretty
You guys
popular
want
one.
to come around and play that?
Pass around
Yeah.
Drowsy Maggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do a 2-part round because I'm not very.
Okay.
I always get it confused with some other tune. I get it. Yeah, I get it. There's the Boys of Walk and Boys of something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to start it, Jenna, or should I?
Up to you.
I volunteered us.
Then you go first.
Okay. This was another favorite at my childhood Irish session.
It's a classic, yeah.
It's pretty deep in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny, that so many of those tunes, there's millions. I guess in Boston, that's kind of a thing, right? Unless you know 2,000 tunes, you shouldn't even show up. You shouldn't even get fiddle out of the case, right?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose that's kind of a difference, like the whole playing in tunes and sets, right? Like you in a session, you'd play Jazz Maggie like maybe 3 times, maybe 2 times, and then it's on to another tune. So, yeah.
That's
Fast,
tough.
die hard.
Yeah, it's the repertoire. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I've often thought that there could be a lot of juice in the idea of, these sets, which are, and especially you hear this in Cape Breton, music where they really get into the sets. And, there's a lot of build and a lot of really, beautiful development just in the intensity, and it just builds to this incredible thing. And the idea that you could, you could bring back parts of tunes within other tunes, and even change keys of tune. It just do radical, horrible things that would get you kicked out of just about any jam at all. But it seems like there's a lot of room to develop the idea of the set, where you're picking tunes that have something in common, and then if they have enough in common, they could be even superposed. All these kind of exciting. Nobody's that I know of, and maybe somebody's doing that already, but I don't know who's doing it. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, it could be a really interesting thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got a question from Julie, Darol.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, how do you use those drones? Well, there's a lot of ways you can use them. It's pretty great. You just the simplest way, of course, would be to just pick a key. Maybe a key that you could start with a key that you actually enjoy playing in. Something like, for instance, D, right? If you put that D drone on, I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
And then just play your scale. Usually, you can also stop. Okay. And if you're having trouble with some kind of weird key, for instance, D flat, which we don't often play in, you can do your D flat drone because you don't have any open strings in D flat, right? So you're really hearing very deeply into the relationships between the notes of the scale and your home note, and that's it can be hypnotic. And usually what happens with me is I spend a lot of time right at the beginning, just oh man, that's what it sounds like, right? And then after a while I just kind of start going crazy, and I usually wind up writing a tune or at least part of one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great thing. So, so that's how I don't know. I would assume that something similar is going on with you guys. Any extra nice things?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like sometimes practicing something specific, and sometimes just using it as like an anchor to be totally free and just like make something up or see what it feels like to play in second position, or just like it's sort of like it's like a life jacket for being in a strange key, as well as just being like a extra like creative tool.
Yeah, it just feels really good when you hit that note, and just there's something very just satisfying. It's just the resonance that really it makes that really kind of like that kind of practicing it just it makes it more rewarding. It makes it feel better. Sound better.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like music.
People are signing out here. Ivan, see you later. Great, Ivan's a great player. Another great. Just to just flog the school a little bit, the fiddle school, for a short time. I see a lot of my students on here at the school, and a couple of those, some people that you're familiar with, Jenna, because both of you have been or are guest professors on my fiddle school, as well as teaching on your own yourselves. I know, Brown, you just finished a whole day of teaching, so you're probably tired, but
Nah.
But and I expect I hope Jenna will come back. Jenna was people really huge favorite, and I know Bronwyn's going to be. People are already, votes are coming in. You've got a couple people that have signed up for a lesson from you, and so that's very cool. That's one of the things I'm really happy about, getting the guest professors in there to get another perspective on things at the school. And so that's the artistworks.com fiddle or something like that. You can find it that way. Poking around Artistworks fiddle Artistworks, it'll happen.
Thanks for having us on here.
This month,
such an honor, it's sort of way cool.
This month, Bronwyn's the guest professor. So if you got any further questions for Bronwyn, please sign up and she'll critique your stuff, or Keith-Hynes.com and sign up for a serious, like a 45-minute wow, which I probably do that. So that's okay. That I did it. Okay, I did it. I plugged the school.
Yeah, can't wait to meet all of you fiddlers out there.
Oh, yeah, it's really dear folks.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what's I don't know what's next for both of you, Jenna? What's next? What's anything coming up for you? You gonna do a broadcast or webcast?
Let's see. I guess I do have a live. I'll be back here on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, for the quarantine happy hour, which has been doing music every night since the beginning of the pandemic. So I'm going to play a set on March 25th. And then, some teaching Fiddle Hell's coming up.
Oh, right.
Online, which is great. And teaching at the Swan Noah Gathering online.
Cool.
You can find it all. JennaMoynihan.com.
All right. Yeah. Bronwyn, how about you? You got all kinds of things.
Yeah. What's going on with me? I don't know.
I'm freaking out over your new record.
Thanks. Yeah, man. I put out my first solo album back in September of last year, and it's been cool to it's cool to have something out, and so there's that. I'm teaching at Swan Noah too. I was looking forward to getting to hang with Jenna again at the at the camp what we taught at, or that we met at. And so we were both scheduled to teach last summer, and of course it didn't happen, but I guess we'll both be teaching virtually, which means we won't be able to hang out anyways, but one of these years we'll get back together down there.
Full circle.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, look there, the votes are coming in here, and Bob McWilliams says the new album.
Oh, thanks, Bob.
Yeah, it's
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
So great. Marcus, what do you think? Should we wind this up? Should we go let people go eat their dinner?
Yeah, well, we had one send-in for this show who wanted to be here but wasn't able to due to the fact that they're in Spain. Would you like to roll that?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's the patently non-Celtic and yet somewhat. There's some hint of the Nordic, North Sea in there. From of course the one and only Alistair Fraser and Natalie Haas, some of the greatest proponents of Celtic music on strings ever, and yeah, they graciously agreed to contribute a video. They've cranked out a whole bunch of videos. They have a new recording out, which is absolutely amazing. I don't think anybody who knows anything about Celtic music isn't familiar with these two, and so they contributed a lovely original tune in the Finnish style. So it's perfect to finish with, right? Because it's just verbally, it's just the syllable, two syllables. Finish, right? So maybe we'll kind of wind up with that and some beautiful playing from our buddies Alistair and Lanley.
All right, here we go.
This is called Alien of Alesund for Anbjörglien.
music.
So,
Awesome.
yeah,
So great.
just, yeah, very good. Happy St. Patrick's Day, patently. Not, yeah, what are some of the words in which this tune is not Celtic? But, and yet, it's beautiful music and kind of in the spirit of just, the big tent. Here we are, we're doing all these different things and, kind of reaching back into music that we love in all different ways. So.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Darol, for helping to put this whole thing together. And Bronwyn and Jenna, thanks so much for sharing your insight and playing for us. It was a treat.
Yeah.
And thank you, everyone that joined us here and pitched your questions and that sort of stuff. We really appreciate you joining us here. And if anybody is unfamiliar or missed it somehow, you can learn directly from Darol at artistworks.com. And I think Bronwyn is currently doing some video exchanges there as well. So you can submit a video with your questions and playing a little demo and get an actual video response back with some feedback to help you get better. So the next show we've got coming up will be at the end of March 31st at noon with George Whitty, Martin Taylor, tuning in from Scotland, Julian Lage, and some other special guests, and they'll be talking about exploring the different styles of jazz. So we hope to see you all back there then. Until then, stay safe and keep practicing, and thanks again, guys.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Good to see you guys. Thanks.
Happy
Great
St.
to meet you.
Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, beautiful. Don't go change it.